Hello and welcome to Story Recap. For this episode, let's talk about what happened in the outfit. So big time spoilers ahead, watch out. The film begins in the American city of Chicago in the year 1956 with a man named Leonardo, who is a very famous tailor, and he is originally from England, but he left to America to fulfill his dream after World War II. He opened a tailoring shop to get away from trouble. A girl named Mabel was working with him. Leonardo bought the shop from Boyle, a well-known gang leader. At the same time, he became his close friend. Leonardo stuck my mailbox in place, and this box was owned by Boyle, as the rest of the gangs put letters addressed to Boyle in the box. At the end of the day, Richie, the son of the mob boss, comes with Francis, Boyle's right-hand man, to pick up the letters. But this time when they took the letters, they found a message from one of their members. Richie asked Leonardo to go out and talk to Francis. When he came out, Mabel surprised him with a special gift, which made him very happy. She asked him to move to another place away from problems and gangs. But he told her that even if he changed his place, problems would follow. She told him that she was going to leave him and travel far away, but she might back out of the idea if he decided to increase her salary. He didn't care what she said and changed the subject. At the same moment, Richie and a friend came out of the shop. As for the hero, he started folding fabrics in the shop. After a while, Mabel asked him to teach her to sew because she wanted to open a shop for herself. He agreed, and then he told her that she should marry a good man, like the man who works in the watch shop next to them. He asks her to leave Richie because he is a bad guy, and he will get her into trouble. She left the shop, but Leonardo remained in the shop, and soon after he fell asleep. He seemed to be dreaming that his place was on fire, but suddenly he woke up after hearing the voices of Mabel and Richie. When he starts eavesdropping on them, he realizes that Richie hates Francis, because he always suspected him of being disloyal to his father. Suddenly something fell from Leonardo's hand, and they almost discovered it, but he returned to his place and pretended to be asleep. The next day when Richie and his mate returned to pick up the letters, they found another letter from the LaFontaine gang, and with the message was a mysterious audio tape. Richie leaves to search for the traitor who is divulging their secrets to the LaFontaine gang. At night, Richie returned to the store to hide from the police after he was shot in the body. Francis called Boyle and asked him to send a doctor to the shop, but he couldn't because of the police. Francis decided to force Leonardo to stitch up Richie's wound. Leonardo grabbed the needle and thread and began to sew up the wound. As for Francis, he was holding Richie's body to prevent him from moving. After Leonardo finished sewing, Francis presented him with a bag and asked him not to open it and not to give it to anyone. And he asked him to keep the bag, and then he went to look for a device to play the audio tape that was with the message, so that he would know the identity of the traitor. After a while, Richie got up and started asking about Francis. Leonardo told him he had gone to find a device to play the audio tape. But Richie becomes suspicious and tells Leonardo that Francis is the real traitor, and he told him that he had gone to look for the device in order to remove suspicion from him. Suddenly, Leonardo tells him that he is the traitor, that he planted a listening device in the room and that he called the police. But Richie didn't believe him, so Leonardo started laughing as he told him he was joking. When Francis returns to the store, Leonardo tells him that Richie suspects him, so he takes the audio tape from the bag and hides it. That's why Francis got angry and got into a fight with him that ended in Richie's death. Unfortunately, Boyle arrived at the shop a short time later. Francis started cleaning the floor and trying to hide the body with Leonardo's help. After they finished, he opened the door for Boyle. When Boyle entered, he asked about his son Richie. Francis told him he had left and had taken the audio tape with him, but Boyle did not believe him and seemed suspicious. He decided to order those with him to search for him, but his bodyguard approached the cloth box in which Francis placed Richie's body, at the time when blood was dripping from under the box. After that, Francis told Boyle that he was going to find Richie himself, and Boyle decided to stay with Leonardo. While Leonardo was sewing a shirt, Boyle told him that he was one of them now that he knew all their secrets. Then he gave him a gun as a gift, and he asked him why he had moved from England. He told him that he left because of the war, and he was determined to achieve a dream in another place. And he also told him about the famous design school in which he learned sewing. As for Boyle, he began to tell him about the history of his gang, and he told him that the reason for the problems is that the gang must obtain the uniform seal, and this seal serves as a seal of honor for the gangs, and in order to obtain this seal, they must eliminate the LaFontaine gang. Leonardo was surprised by Boyle's speech and asked him why he had told him their secrets. Boyle told him it was because of Richie's coat hanging behind him, and it was impossible in the freezing cold for Richie to get out of the store without his coat. That's why he ordered him to tell him the truth about what happened before he killed him. 5 seconds later, Boyle ordered his bodyguard to kill Leonardo. But Leonardo started talking, and suddenly he stopped when he saw Francis enter the shop with Mabel. Francis pointed the gun at Mabel. He threatened to kill her, prompting Leonardo to lie. Leonardo told Boyle that Francis had killed 4 men from LaFontaine's gang and that he intended to kill LaFontaine soon, and this is the secret he was keeping from him. Francis, in turn, tells him that Mabel is Richie's girlfriend and only she knows his whereabouts. Boyle begins investigating Mabel. At this time, Leonardo tried to run away, but Francis stopped him. Leonardo asks Boyle to leave Mabel because he loves her like a daughter. After he tried to convince him that she did not know anything about Richie, then he told him that the real reason for leaving England was that he owned a store in England. Someone burned the store, and his wife and daughter died in it. Suddenly the phone started ringing. Leonardo answered the phone. He seemed to pretend he was talking to Richie. He told them Richie was on 31st Street, so Boyle went there, but Francis told him he would stay with Leonardo and Mabel to watch over them. But in fact he wanted to get rid of them and tell Boyle that Leonardo killed his son. But Leonardo was very clever, suggesting that he pay the LaFontaine gang to kill Boyle and get rid of him for good. In order to convince him of this more, he tells him that Mabel is the real traitor, where she was exploiting her relationship with Richie and transferring information to the LaFontaine gang, in order for the gang to help her travel to Europe. This is besides her assistance to the FBI and her placement of a listening device in the shop. Francis was shocked when he heard all this. At the same time, he seemed convinced of the idea. Suddenly, Leonardo tells him that he is Mabel's partner and that he has the audio tape with him, and orders him to call LaFontaine and tell her where Boyle is to kill him. When LaFontaine kills Boyle, he takes his place. He agreed and asked Mabel to call her and send her the audio tape in exchange for killing Boyle, but he ordered her not to tell her that he was cooperating with her. After the call, she started to wonder what happened to Richie. Leonardo took her to the box so she could see the body. At this time, Francis was thinking of killing LaFontaine in order to become the head of the 2 gangs. LaFontaine reached the door, and Francis hid. When Mabel took her in, she gave her a huge amount of money. Suddenly Leonardo told her by pointing that there was someone in the place trying to kill her. She ordered her guards to get ready. When Francis got out of his place, they turned the gun on him and killed him. Then LaFontaine tells him that she also killed Boyle. LaFontaine left the place after taking the audio tape and leaving the money to Mabel. Mabel then sits down with Leonardo and tells him that the police will arrive at the scene any moment and they will find out about them. But Leonardo tells her that the police will never come, because the audio tape they gave LaFontaine is fake, and the real audio tape has been hidden in a safe place, and what happened is a plan from him in order to get rid of the 2 gangs. And that what happened in the shop he recorded in order to submit it to the police. And with this, LaFontaine will be arrested on the spur of the moment. He then ordered her to take the money and go to Europe. As for him, he stayed in his shop and put on a new suit. Then he poured gasoline all over the shop and set the fire. But suddenly something unexpected happened, which is that Francis regained consciousness and shot him. But fortunately he hit him in the shoulder. Francis took out the knife and started chasing Leonardo to kill him. But Leonardo tried to calm him down and told him that he was a member of a well-known gang in England. But he disagreed with them, so they burned his shop and his wife and daughter died. But Francis attacked him before he could finish his speech. But Leonardo grabbed the scissors and stabbed him, then put on his coat and left the shop. If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.